So the Porsche is just about to leave us. You've seen the video we've just uploaded on. This car now is in for something a little bit different, in all fairness. The customer actually called about this because unfortunately a commercial building, I believe commercial building, was actually being painted close to the car when we had the heavy wind, and it absolutely covered the car from head to toe in whatever paint that currently was. So what we've had to do is spend pretty much the last 4 hours getting the paint off the car itself, and obviously getting it from places like the rubbers and the trim and the glass, and the roof was really heavily tarnished. Now what we've done is we have clay barred this, and I'm not going to lie, we do tell our customers when you buy a clay bar from us how they really work, because people aren't totally truthful about it. Even if the car is spotless, if you are taking contamination from the paint using a clay bar or a clay mitt, that is going to drag that contamination across those panels. It doesn't matter how well you do it, how soft you do it. If you use a lubrication like we have our pink mist lubrication, it's still going to happen. And what this does do is create marring on the actual paintwork. So this, it is covered in swirls, it is covered in deep scratches and wash marks. It's not in for that, so bear that in mind when you're looking at the video. But I'll try and get some footage on here of if we can show the marring. Now what I mean by marring is it dulls the paint and it puts like a cloudy finish to the actual colour, so the black isn't there anymore, like the gloss side of things, and it's a bit like sanding in effect. So what we're going to do with the machines now is get the buffers on here, we're going to get the gloss back out on the colour, we're going to get the wet finish back. It will remove some swirls and some of the scratches, but it's not in for that, it's only in for a day, well basically 2 days, a day prep and a day machine work. But we're going to get the finish on this better than what it was when it came in. All the marks that's got in from the clay bar removed, and every bit of paint is already currently removed on it, and then we're going to put a wax coating on it just to give it some protection for when the customer actually drives the car away. So I'll try and get some footage now and try and show you what I mean by marring and how clay bars and clay mix do cause that, even if you do it to the highest level possible. And the reason why when we do clay bar, we only machine polish afterwards. We won't just use a clay bar service itself. So trying to show you the marring is quite difficult on camera, but this section here, what you can see is if you ignore the swirls, which is the light scratches, you can see a dullness to the actual paint. This is quite, you can see it here if you know what you're looking at. So basically where the camera is here, you can actually see there's a lack of colour and kind of a dull haziness to it, and that's basically marring from using clay bars and so on. It'll be more than just that. It's obviously the age of the car and the swirls and scratches that are in it and wash marks, but the clay bar has created some of this, and that is what we're going to be reducing, or I should say we're actually going to remove this. We're going to try and reduce some of the swirl marks from the paint. So, as I said, we're going to try and get rid of some of the swirls in the car. It is going to work, we're going to get rid of them. I know we've only got a short amount of time, and this is again just a very honest video about what we do and how things actually are going to come out. Because of the time that this is in for and the job it's in for, we'd have to have 3 or 4 days to get this car looking absolutely spotless on a paint enhancement. But we're going to focus on the bonnet more. We're going to get the marks out of here and obviously bring the gloss and the deepness back. Jump onto the roof and the boot, and then we won't do as much time on the sides because they haven't needed as much when it comes to the actual prep. But we're going to be focusing on things like the bonnet and the roof and the boot, and that's because they're the obvious areas and we've got the time to do that. So when the car actually goes out, it will look like it's had a full detail purely on the basis of the main areas that you see have the swirls and the scratches actually reduced down. The side isn't actually as bad, so we're going to glaze that over, we're going to get rid of the marring, and we're just going to crack on with it now, and I'm going to get the video footage of it afterwards just to show you what it's like. Bear in mind you're probably still going to see marks in it, but you will see how much they have massively reduced and how much gloss we have actually got back in it. So hopefully from that really small video there, you can actually see that the bonnet looks pretty much, and it is pretty much swirl free. There is some deeper scratches in there. That's when it comes down to the difference between sort of a revival, or what we call an enhancement and a correction. That's where we start going into more depth. But as you can see on the bonnet on there, it actually looks incredible in reality compared to what it even did before it came in, before we've taken the paint off that was on there, and before we've used the clay bar. So that's just to show you what you can get from even a shorter job if you don't want to go to the levels and the time and the cost of an enhancement or a correction. Like I said, I'm going to do a bit more on that now. We're then going to put the in-depth product on, which you really need to look into if you've got a dark car and you don't particularly have time to detail it or get it done, because that's going to give this car an even wetter finish when it's actually finished. And I can't imagine what that's going to look like till it actually pulls out, but I know it's going to look seriously wet with a lot of pop to it. So I'm going to crack on with it anyway, guys, because we've got this being collected. I've got to get that on with, and then we'll show you the product actually being applied and how easy that in-depth is to use as well. So I'm just about to show you what we've actually got from the bonnet so far and kind of the finish we're going to be aiming for. The truth is, I'm still going to do a little bit more on this bonnet, so there is going to be a little bit more of a cut to it. We're also going to be coating this car with our in-depth product, which, if you don't know about, is an amazing product that's designed to sort of fill, hide swirls, darken up your paint and put a really good glossy finish onto it. So we're going to be putting that on as an addition to what the level of work we've got this to. So it is going to look a little bit higher sort of refinement than it actually is, but this is to show you the actual result we're going to be getting from a job that's only in for the time this is currently in. Now, obviously bear in mind, like I've said, we can do a lot more than this. We could almost get this looking absolutely flawless if it was in for that time scale, but at the same time I want you to understand the result this has actually got and what this is going to look like outside at the same time, based on it being a small job. And it's just to show you how much of an improvement we've already got. So I'm going to show you the bonnet now. We're going to do a 50-50. You'll see this side here is full of marring and swirling and scratches, and this side, it's only really got a few marks. We've actually got the swirls pretty much out on it in full. So I'm going to show you that now, just so you can actually see for yourself the result we're going to be getting on this car. So what we're just about to do now is the car's been machine polished. We've obviously got the majority of the swirls out. I'll show you the bonnet actually looks incredible. The whole car does, in all fairness. We've got the contamination of the paint off, which was the biggest issue. We're now going to basically put the in-depth on, which is what you just quickly saw me do on the bonnet. In-depth is a filler, a product that's designed for darker cars, well, anything but white and silver. What it actually does is it fills little bits of marks in and swirls, it darkens the paint, adds a bit of depth, it lasts up to about 8 weeks. It also gives the car a little bit of extra pop, that what sort of wet finish that they call it. It doesn't particularly need it because we've machined this and I've shown the customer on a video already, and he's seen how impressive it's actually come out. We're doing this as like an addition just to give it a little bit more fill, basically give it a little bit of a darker finish what it's currently got and hide any other marks that are in there. As I said, the swirls are out. It's just got some deeper, finer marks in there which we could have got out if it was an enhancement or a correction, which is a much bigger job. But we just want to give it the best result we can, and then this way when it goes out it's even got a protection for up to 8 weeks. The customer isn't having to worry about waxing it or anything going on it in the meantime. He can drive it home. If it's typical British weather, it rains on his way home, it's protected, and it's just a bit of an extra thing that we're doing on it. I'm going to give you a quick walk around of the car now. Honestly, for 2 days in total, for everything we've done, this looks absolutely insane.